welcome back to this boys basketball conference preview. So today's preview we'll be doing the Western Big Six for boys basketball. This basketball preview is for both the boys side and the girls side. We'll be doing previews for the conference as the season is coming up. So the girls, they start having games in a couple weeks as well, and then the boys next week start practice up next week, and then in almost 4 weeks, 3 weeks from 4 weeks from today, boys basketball will be having games kind of right around Thanksgiving week, the week of Thanksgiving. So basically, the girls will have their first games the week before the boys do. So we're gonna be kicking off a boys preview with the Western out west with the Western Big Six. So some of the predictions I would say, so the predictions and top players I will mention. We'll mention some of our top players. First thing I want to get out, top players from each team in the conference, and then basically in the predictions of who we have, winning the conference. So the predictions and our picks don't mean nothing. They don't mean nothing. It means it has to be played on the court every single night throughout November all the way to March as well, and even the state tournament. We're not going to put our picks for state yet because basically it'll be when we do the previews of the regionals and all that, and our picks to whoever out of each class from 1A through 4A, put our picks to see who I think would win all, and basically who would be in the Final Four as well. So we're going to kick things off with our first team of the Western Big Six, that's the Rock Island Rocks. Rock Island last year finished 28-6 overall and 12-2 in the Western Big Six as well. So for Rock Island, they have returning three players from last year's team, and that is so the returners they have are Dawson Zulu, Avion Thomas, and Devin Marshall are the three guys returning for Rocky this year. They also bring in two new transfers coming in, Eris Morgan from Riverdale and Arthur Abbey from Moline. So these are two big transfers they have coming in this year. Morgan, a senior, and then Abbey, a junior as well. So what I have heard from the Rocks this year, their goal this year is to go for state, and is make it down to Champaign and going down to state is the Rocks' goal this year. So that goal for the Rocks, I think this year's team for Rock Island is probably going to be probably the best team in the Big Six out there, and probably one of the best teams that head coach Mark Polite will probably have around ever since he's been at Rock Island. And I bet you that the goal has been like that ever since he kind of took over back in 2001 after the retirement of head coach Tom Siegel. The Rocks' last appearance in state was in 2011, where they won it in 2011. That was back when they had a former NBA player in Chason Randall, who was at Rock Island. I believe he was a 2012 graduate of Rock Island, where they did make it to state, and they won it in 2011. And also, they did finish in the Elite Eight back in 2009 under Coach Siegel. So those were two great teams that he was on at Rock Island as well. And they also finished in the top 10 back when they had also former NBA player Tyler Hall kind of finished in the top 10 when they were in Class 4A. So basically, last year the Rocks won a regional championship. They won the 4A Moline regional title, and also had an undefeated streak last year to kick off the season. And also, they only had 6 losses, so first two, I think the first loss came at the State Farm Classic last year in Bloomington. So I think Rock Island has probably one of the best teams in the QC when we talk about boys basketball. The best team. Well, not yet. We haven't talked about every team in the Western Big Six yet. So now we go to the schedule wise for Rock Island this year. So they'll be kicking off again at the Rock Island their Thanksgiving Classic against a couple of Chicago schools. So all four of the schools that are in it, well, all three of them, I should say, are all Chicago schools. All four of their opponents will be Chicago schools out of the Chicago area. And also December 20th will be the Genesis Shootout at Augustana. So 7 of the Western Big Six schools, except for Quincy, will be taking on schools from the MAC out of the Iowa side as well. So that will be a fun shootout and a really good, hopefully a really good, good day. Hopefully it's going to be for the for everyone in the Quad Cities or all the high school basketball fans in the Quad Cities as well. And also, hopefully we have some good games this year in the Genesis Shootout this year. To also be part of the State Farm Holiday Classic as well this December after Christmas down in Bloomington Normal. And then their non-conference opponents this year. So they'll take on a couple schools from the Chicago region or the western suburbs or more towards out there by Chicago, and that is DeKalb at the beginning of the new year against DeKalb in 2026. And then they'll also face Waubonsie Valley, also a member of DeKalb's conference out of the DuPage Valley conference as well. They'll also take on Nick 10 member Rockford Auburn on February 14th. That'll be another really good opponent for Rock Island, and they'll also be taking place at the Crossroads Shootout in Normal West down in Normal. So basically for the Rocks, I could see them either finishing second or first in the conference for both sides. For my prediction would be they'll finish either at the top or in the top 3 in the Western Big Six as well. I should say. Next up, we go to the Moline Maroons. Moline finished 25 wins, 8 losses overall, 10 wins and 4 losses, 3rd in the Western Big Six. So basically, for them, they have 2 starters, I believe, returning from last year, and that is Brady Welch and Josh Hendricks from the Moline Maroons. So basically, for them, they also have a really good class coming in. So they have the little brother of Trey Taylor, who graduated last year from Moline. We'll have a little brother that'll be playing. They'll be playing this year, I believe, at Moline as well. Trey Taylor was one of the starters as well for their state championship team back in 2023 when he was a sophomore as well. So Moline's another exciting program that I believe that's going to be really good again this year. So Moline for them. So their schedule, they'll kick off at the Galesburg Shootout. So they'll open up with Quincy Notre Dame at home. So key non-conference opponents will be Peoria Richwoods, Alberta, and Peoria Richwoods, both Big 12 conference schools. They'll also be part of the Brick House Shootout, their own shootout at Warden Fieldhouse, and their opponent is yet to be announced as well. And then also they'll be taking on Rockford Auburn, same as Rock Island, but they'll be taking on Auburn on January 24th, and then Normal Community as well on February 7th, not the 2nd, but the 7th as well. So those are some big key non-conference opponents as well. So next up, we go to the United Township Panthers. UT finished with 22 wins, 9 losses, 9-5 in the Western Big Six. So they have 3 starters returning. That is Josiah Massey, Max Culligan, and Octavius Hickman. So the Panthers, United Township, out of East Moline. So they'll be also kicking off at Galesburg Shootout as well. So they'll be the other team will be the second team out of the Western Big Six at Galesburg Shootout. So basically, for them, they'll kick off their season against Wells and then also play Limestone and Little Village at Galesburg Shootout as well. So their first non-conference game will be at home against a really good Metamora team that's in Class 3A. So they'll take on Metamora, and then also the week after that they'll take on DeKalb as well, and also Peoria Richwoods as well. So two good opponents, Richwoods out of Peoria, and then also they'll take on Normal Community in January 6th as well. So those are a couple key non-conference opponents, and I also put they'll be part of the Galesburg Shootout, and also I'm assuming they'll be part of the Chuck Dayton Holiday Classic in DeKalb right around Christmas, or Christmas tournament as well. So basically, there'll be a team, I believe, for United Township. I think there'll be a team that everyone might be talking about when we talk about the Western Big Six, or another team that might be in that might be the top four, the Big Four, or maybe be somewhere in the new free with Moline and Rock Island as well. So next up was a team that was also part of the Big Three, and that is the Quincy Blue Devils. Quincy this year, they lost a really good class. They graduated last year, and they lost guys like Don Clay that graduated, Bradley Loncourt, Keyshawn Thomas. They're Big Three that graduated last year. So Quincy, they're going to have to reload this year as well if they want to. So that means new players will step up for the Blue Devils. So one of their returners, I believe, will be Milton Whitfield. I believe, when I was doing this earlier, I'm assuming will be the only returning starter that Quincy will have. So last year, Quincy, they finished with 30-plus wins, 4 losses. So basically, their 4 losses were against some really good teams. So basically, their 3 losses came to schools that were out of the state. They're out of the state of Illinois. And their 4th loss came to Rock Island, at Rock Island. So Rock Island was the only school that's in Illinois that defeated Quincy. Because I think they lost to, a school in Missouri, and I believe a school and also another out-of-state school that they played at their shootout back in January. So basically, the Blue Devils for Quincy. So basically, they're going to have a lot of really good competition this year. So they'll be kicking off. For them, will be their Thanksgiving tournament. So they'll be taking on, the first 2 opponents will be schools out in Missouri. So, and then their other school will be from Chicago. We'll take on a Chicago school as well. And their Thanksgiving shootout as well. So another key non-conference opponent will be Quincy Notre Dame on December 20th. And then also they'll have some really good non-conference opponents as well. So basically, another tournament they'll be at is the Collinsville. I believe they'll be taking place at the Collinsville Prairie Farms Holiday Classic, unless they take place at another holiday tournament. Because if they do, I think it'll be good competition for the Blue Devils if they want to make it back to state. If they want to make it back to state, or either try to win a state championship as well. So I think it'll be good competition for whoever the Blue Devils get. Other non-conference opponents will play are Springfield, Lincoln. They'll also have the shootout on January 24th and January 23rd. That weekend will be their shootout. So basically, for the conference game, will be a good one. I think will be a good one. down there in Quincy, as they'll be taking on Rock Island that weekend. That weekend we'll take on Rock Island for the conference game. So other ones will be Westbrook Grove, Wabanzi Valley, Batavia, and Jacksonville on the road. So basically, that's their non-conference lineup this year for Quincy. So next up is the next up we go to the Sterling Golden Warriors. Sterling Golden Warriors. So that's our next team we're going to talk about. Sterling. Sterling last year finished with 16 wins, 17 losses. They went 6-8 in the Western Big Six, fifth in the Western Big Six Conference. Sterling last year. They've also another team that made it to the regional championship as well. That also did make it to the regional championship. I'd like to mention they faced a really good Kankakee team in Morris. So we go through some of the returning guys. The Golden Warriors will have so this team, I think, for Sterling is gonna be pretty young. They're gonna look really young this year, but I like the talent. Same with Moline, and I talked about earlier. Moline, they got a really good class, but I like Sterling's freshman class. I think for Sterling's freshman class, you guys don't know, they got a really good class coming in this year. So some of the returning guys Sterling will be senior Xavier Prainfer, also going to Olivet Nazarene Academy. So he's also under a basketball scholarship as well. Brady Berlin, a junior. AJ Coleman, also a junior as well. Also, so mainly most of their junior class did get a lot of reps as sophomores on the varsity level. Quincy Moss, another player that will also be out. I also had him as a returning player. He's going to be out probably until after Christmas because he, if you guys don't know, had an injury during the football season, during football in their Week 9 matchup versus Rock Island. So I put him on there as a returning starter as well. So their freshman class, so they got a really good class. So their class will include the likes of Navane Moore, DeAndre Moss, Gavin Terrock, Braden Wing, Noah Glassburn are part of the main six. I believe they'll have also Elijah DeBlante, another really good talent as well, a dual threat in football, quarterback as well. Was also starting to get some looks as a freshman. Well, basically not offers yet, but also had a visit as well. So I like to throw his name out a bit. So Sterling. So this year, Sterling Golden Warriors, for their schedule this year, or teams they'll have this year. So they'll kick things off in Ottawa at the Dean Riley tournament down there in Ottawa. And then their non-conference opponent, the first non-conference game, will be at home against Pleasant Valley out an Iowa school out by the Quad Cities. They'll take on Pleasant Valley. And then they'll also be taking place in the Taylorville Holiday Tournament. So the Taylorville Tournament is another tournament. Sterling's really had a lot of success down there. They finished, I believe, ever since they joined that tournament, they have finished almost every year in the championship tournament there. So, and also they'll kick off the new year with Rochelle, a Rochelle team that could be really good. Byron in the Big Northern Conference as well. So Sterling this year, they're going to be young, but a lot of those guys who, they're going to be good in the incoming years as well. Same thing to Moline, I like to mention. They're going to be really good as well. So next up, we talk about the Geneseo Maple Leafs. So Geneseo, they got a new head coach as well. New head coach and TJ Lacey. TJ Lacey, I believe, who was also a coach at Rockford University as well. For their college, was a college coach. So now is looking to build a struggling Maple Leafs program. Geneseo last year only had 1 win and 28 losses. They went 1-13 in the Western Big Six, or 2-8, well, they had 2 wins. I forgot to throw out there. I think they had 2 wins. Well, not 2 wins, but they only had 1 win. I remember now. My memory kind of went off. So Geneseo, they got 2 starters, I believe, coming back. And that's Landon Norsom and Brady Barnell. So non-conference opponents Geneseo will have is Dixon. They'll play Dixon twice on November 24th and January 6th. Rock Falls on January 3rd. They'll also take place in the Fred VanVleet Classic. They'll take on Douglas out of Tennessee, out of Memphis, and then Belvedere North, part of the Fred VanVleet Classic at Rockford Auburn. Chicago Dwight, Chicago School on, like how you say, it'll be in December 6th. They'll take place in the United Holiday Tournament, so the tournament is before Christmas, January 20th, non-conference opponent of Rochelle as well. So Geneseo and Sterling, kind of like Sterling, they're going to be a young team with a new head coach and a new system for Geneseo, kind of a new system, but what I hear about their new head coach. So basically, a lot of exciting things are going to happening in the incoming years with Geneseo, and hopefully, there's a lot of big stuff coming there soon for Geneseo. I know a lot of big things in the Quad Cities as well. The news is on their long-awaited Amtrak route. I like to mention the Quad Cities is, could be coming. The Quad Cities train. They could see the train be coming to the station as well in the incoming years as well. So a lot of economic growth there in the Quad Cities, and also. So next up, we go to the Galesburg Silver Streaks as well, kind of talking about economic growth and also a little bit of railroad. And the Silver Streaks are returning 4 players that were key players from last year. Jackson White, Demetrius Watson, another player third to the L, and his last name was Kelly the Fourth, Keegan Crummer. So one of the new transfers they have is Stone Thiel. He played out in Texas, coming out from Texas. So he'll be a new name as well, and also probably one of their new guys coming in from transfers. So a new transfer in from Galesburg from Texas as well. So one of their big losses last year was Jackson Crock-Sibling. Crock-Sibling will be playing for Pleasant Valley this year for the Spartans on the Iowa side. So that was a big loss for the Silver Streaks. But also a new player that they gained from the state of Texas. So Silver Streaks, they're hosting their shootout. They'll be hosting their shootout. Their first game will be against Limestone as well on the 26th as well. And then the 28th, they'll take on Little Village and Chicago Madison, I believe. They're out of Chicago. And then Wells on the 29th, both on the 29th. So some of their non-conference opponents, they'll have Pekin on December 12th, and then Rockford Jefferson on December 6th will be another key one. December 16th, they'll have Burlington from the Iowa side, Burlington, Iowa, the Greyhounds, and then they'll have Bloomington, the Purple Raiders out of the Big 12, and then they'll have Danville, Normal West. So 3 out of the Big 12. They'll be playing in Kewanee out of the track as well. So basically for Galesburg, another exciting young team. So basically Galesburg and Geneseo, both with new head coaches in the Big Six. So for those programs this year is an exciting time, new system, all of that. So their final team is the Alleman Pioneers. Alleman last year had, I believe, 4 wins last year against. They had 2 against Geneseo. One was at one in conference and one at a tournament as well. So for Alleman, they have 2, Jack Winnett and then Adam Manmegan, are 2 returning, two starters returning. So basically for the Pioneers, so basically we'll be young again this year as well. So I had nothing for the Pioneers. Yeah, so basically, so in the standings for the Western Big Six, we have Rock Island probably finishing. I think it's going to be a battle between either Rock Island or Moline this year, because I believe they're going to be returning a lot. And same thing too with UT. I think they're going to be a team that's going to surprise everyone as well. Sterling, Geneseo, Galesburg, 3 that are young, but 3 that are young and also exciting programs that are going to be fun to watch as in the incoming years for the Western Big Six as well. I think Galesburg, they're kind of, both 3 of them are kind of in that rebuild phase. I know Geneseo is kind of in that rebuild phase, and Galesburg is kind of trying to get those programs back to what they were. But for the Western Big Six, I could see Rock Island making a state run as well, but it's either going to be in that super sectional, depending on it, that they might run into someone good like Bennett or whoever. So top performers, I think, will be for each side. For the Western Big Six, I think it will be representing Sterling, probably Xavier Pranford, Brady Berlin as well will be probably their 2 good performers as well. Landon Nordstrom from Geneseo, Stone Thiel probably from Galesburg, I would say, from their team as well. Dawson Zulu, Devin Marshall, Erish Morgan, Arthur Abbey as well from Rock Island. Welch from Moline. And then Milton Whitefield from Quincy as well. So Quincy, they only have 1 starter returning, but also there'll be a team as well that'll be interesting as well with only 1 returning starter, and we'll see what happens this season. My prediction, I got either Rock Island winning it, and my second pick will have to go with either will be Rock Island, UT, and Moline. I think those are going to be the big 3 everyone will watch, and probably Quincy as well will probably be that 4th one. I think I'm going to go with Quincy as well, because I think they're a team that's looking through low as well, and we'll see what happens. And have a great night, and thank you for watching this boys basketball, girls basketball, conference previews and all that, and we'll see you in the next video.